MLS Aces Podcast, episode 372. This is your host, Tom Sweezy, joined by Jason Vivang. Jason, we are in status critical. The red flags waving, white flags waving. I don't even know what day we're in.
We're ready to go. And sorry about last week, everybody.
Yeah, tell me again. It's the same old excuse, same old adage.
It's a thing. Everybody knows we have real jobs, man.
Yeah, we work 9 to 5s. We work. We have stuff that happens, and it is what it is. And of course, this week, we're on a tight crunch ourselves.
Recording Friday and quickly.
We're recording Friday. You are going to hear this Friday. So if you're hearing this the day of the dropping, just know Thomas and Jason live in action are struggling to survive today. But let's
today. No, just try. You could have ended that sentence before today.
Let's dive into it. We're going to talk a little less MLS since there's a few news and notes from around U.S. soccer, CONCACAF Champions Cup, U.S. Open Cup, and all that fun stuff. So a little less MLS this week, and then next week, hopefully get back to regularly scheduled programming of Major League Soccer talk. But it's all U.S. soccer, MLS relevant. One thing I do want to just quickly start with, and it's going to be a nice little transition into the U.S. soccer point that we have on our notes here, Jason, is Saudi Arabian soccer. Let's start in Saudi Arabia really quick. So Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund is considering to stop funding to the Live Golf Tour. The Saudi Public Investment Fund has also sold 70% of their stake in Al Hilal. Renard, the former French manager, is out as the Saudi Arabian manager just 2 months before the World Cup. And I know Tom Brady's flag football league in Saudi Arabia is no longer getting funding or whatever that the Saudis promised him. So all of a sudden, there could be a flood of Saudi Arabian talent coming to Major League Soccer after the World Cup. I'm just throwing it out there that it would be a smart business plan. I'm just saying. Just want to start. That's where I want to start this episode. Is if I can. I don't even know who's in Saudi Arabia right now. Kareem Benzema's coming to
Sadio Mane. Is he still there?
Sadio Mane. I was about to say N'Golo Kante, but I think he went to Turkey. But
either way, that stuff kind of not doing so well makes me pretty happy.
Chinese Super League 2.0. Is that what we're gonna call this? But it is what it is. But in saying that, in the transition to U.S. soccer news, U.S. soccer sporting director, or now former U.S. soccer sporting director, Matt Crocker, is leaving U.S. soccer again just 2 months before the World Cup on home soil to join the Saudi Arabian Football Federation in somewhat of a similar role. It's a little bit, in my opinion, odd leaving this close to a home World Cup, but whatever. He's been the sporting director of U.S. soccer.
It's very odd.
Yeah, I'm being nice, I guess. He's been the sporting director of U.S. soccer since April of 2023. And obviously, it seems, in my opinion, a little bit of a failed hire. It's funny when I had this thought, and I didn't want to be the one to say it. Maybe I should be confident enough to say it, but I've seen plenty of people from U.S. soccer legends, the players, the coaches, all bouncing around, pretty much saying, what did this guy do? We don't know what this guy did.
Dude, that's actually so fun. You can't see my screen, but I literally just opened a new tab and Googled, what does the sporting director of U.S. soccer do?
Obviously, it's the same thing as a sporting director, or similar-ish to a sporting director of a club, right?
Well, no, because a club is at least signing and looking at things and
Well, I'm saying for the people who are he was part of the hiring of Emma Hayes and Mauricio Pochettino. Yes, and Greg Berhalter, the second Greg Berhalter stint. Yes, of course, that's what he was a part of. He was making the soccering decisions about who was coming in to coach, both the men's and women's national teams. Yeah, but other than that,
what does his day-to-day look like?
And I know a lot of it is we're trying to work with the professional leagues and clubs to implement a way of developing players and talent across the country. But again, what did you do? And again, it's not just.
I mean, I as jokingly as this is, I feel like it's probably a decent role to just have someone that is like sporting director. I just don't understand what the goal for that job is. Like,
it should be an important role where I feel like you're rolling out, like, this is how we're teaching grassroots soccer to college soccer to let's work with USL, let's work with MLS, let's work with academies. Like, this is how we should develop talent across the country.
And
like,
develop like a across the country plan for
what? Is there a weird noise or something? Uh-oh, Jason crapped out on us here. That's what happened. If you were watching the YouTube video, Jason's face just went like pure shock and then disappeared. So I'm gonna keep rolling. Here's Jason. Here he is. I just filibustered as long as I possibly could for that one.
It's one of those days.
It's one of those days. It's give me your final Matt Crocker thought. And then
I was just saying, like it I don't know. I don't have that many thoughts. I think it's just like come up with a plan on how soccer in general is played at every level. In like that should be the role of that. I don't know. It's not that big. It's not that big of a deal.
I think Oguchi Onyewu is taking over things on the men's side. Obviously, very important. Again, World Cup is 2 months away, roughly 2 months away at this point. The only thing that really came out is that Jesse Marsh recently did an interview with, I think, someone at The Athletic. It might be. I apologize. I probably should have had pulled up who it was with and give them credit. Next week, I promise I'll give you credit when I can think for more than a second. And Jesse Marsh was pretty much saying like he had the Leicester City job. It was offered to him, but he turned it down because U.S. Soccer. This was during the time of the second Greg Berhalter hiring. U.S. Soccer, said that Jesse Marsh was going to be the next manager of the U.S. men's national team, and then they pulled it out on him at the last second, gave it back to Greg. So Jesse lost the USMNT job and the Leicester City job, and probably burnt a few bridges along the way to himself. So maybe Matt Crocker involved in that and wasn't the best during all of that. So obviously some stuff going on with that, with it, and hopefully U.S. Soccer can make a better hire than Matt Crocker in the next go around of trying to fill his position, probably post World Cup. Let's talk managerial firings, Jason. Which one do you want to go with first? I'll give you the pick here.
Let's start with Montreal.
Okay, let's go up to Club de Foot Montreal. They have fired manager Marco Donadel. Marco Donadel took over as interim manager of Montreal in March of 2025 after the club fired Laurent Courtois from the head coaching position. In October of 2025, Montreal named Marco Donadel the full-time manager of the club. And now Donadel has been fired 7 games into Montreal's 2026 season with 3 points through 7 games, 1 win, and 6 losses. Between his time as manager and interim manager, Donadel coached 42 games with a record of 9 wins, 10 draws, 23 losses. And Philippe Elfoy is going to be taking over as interim manager of the club.
He's cursed.
He's going to get the job and then get fired 6 games into next year. So, we've spoken about Montreal and the disaster of a club that it is, but we can just dive into it again.
Another thing that we probably don't have to waste too much time on. What are they doing? Like, what are they doing? They have these plans and just don't they clearly have expectations for their managers.
Do they?
But they don't build teams with expectations or seemingly don't sign players they want to build towards an expectation. You let Wilfred Nancy walk. What are you doing? Like, Laurent Courtois, I don't think was bad. I think we were talking about him. Like, they didn't give him the team. Did they give Marco Donadel the team? No. We talk about Montreal from the standpoint of, like, will they make a impact signing ever? Impact. Will they make an impact signing?
Yeah. Maybe they need to go back to that era of the club.
My point is, like, what's the point? Like, who wants this job? Like, sure, you get your foot in the door as a manager. You can say you were a manager at the highest level of U.S. soccer, MLS. But, like, what have they done to prove that they actually want to win? And what have they done to show that they actually trust in their own choices? Like, if none of these coaches last longer than a year.
The last coach that has managed over 50 games for this club was Wilfred Nancy, who managed the club from March of 2021 until December of 2022 when he took over as interim manager from Thierry Henry. That was 70 games. Before that, you have to go back to pre-2020 to find a manager that has coached more than 50 games, which is Remy Gard, who coached from November 2017 to August of
61 games.
2019,
Like, what are we
which was
doing?
61 games. The longest tenured manager in Montreal's MLS history is Mauro Biello, who coached from August of 2015 to October of 2017,
So
which was
just
92
over 2
games.
years.
Just over 2 years.
Yeah.
They have never had a manager in their MLS history coach go into a third season as manager, period. They've never had that exist. When you see trends like this, and it's funny, and like 100%, like I wanted to say this stuff because it's fucking comedic at this point. I feel bad for the fans. I feel bad for players. I feel bad for coaching staffs and coaches and front office members and all of it. But it's an ownership issue. This is arguably, if not without a doubt, the worst ownership group in the entirety of Major League Soccer.
And maybe the entire. Well, there's some bad owners, but I was going to say potentially U.S. sports.
Yeah, it's 100%. I know we are never going to get a CF.
Or I guess I should
player.
say like continental,
yeah,
North American sports.
Yes, we're never going to get a Montreal player or coach on this podcast because you and I have shit on them, but I think it's deservedly so.
I personally, sure, yeah, they probably don't love how we're talking about them right now if they were to listen to this, but I also don't feel like we're saying anything that's unfair. Like, prove to me you want to win. I think you got to prove to your players you want to win.
Yeah.
You have to prove to your coaches you want to win. Because to me, this doesn't show, like, listing out coaches and showing how, like, Jesse Marsh is on here. He's had success. Frank Klopas is on here. I'm biased sort of against him, but he's had success. Thierry Henry is, sort of had success. Wilfred Nancy obviously had success. Like, some of the names on this list, I don't even think are bad managers. Like,
no, you're talking about guys, even to the Laurent Courtois of the world, when like he was hired, he was one of the next young managers in U.S. soccer.
And wasn't he kind of pissed when he got let go? I feel like I remember something coming out where he was like, that was not.
Courtois was pissed. I don't know.
They need a group chat for failed Montreal coaches to just vent because these dudes are going through it.
It'd be a legendary list of names, but honestly, I know Wilfred Nancy, like it's even a shock that he lasted 70 games at the club. Like he had to be convinced to stay at the club because he didn't agree with sporting direction and ownership. And
they've had decent players too.
They have, and they've sold on decent players.
Right.
It's the issue with this club just comes from the top down. I feel bad for fans because as long as the Saputo family is owning CF Montreal, I don't think you're gonna have a club that gives a shit about, or you're gonna have an ownership that gives a shit about its club, and that's all I can say about it. We've talked about Montreal and their ownership a shit ton in recent times, so I'm not trying to repeat myself from an episode we literally did last year when we talked about Laurent Courtois firing, but it's the same argument, it's the same conversation. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to say about Montreal?
I don't think there's much to add. Like you said, this is the same conversation. It's just disappointing. I don't think it's unfair. I simply think it's just disappointing, and they're not giving anyone a reason to believe in them, including their own fans. Like, if I'm a fan of Montreal, what incentive do I have to go pay money to go see a game? They should be paying me. They're not putting out something that they think they don't believe in what they're putting out there.
I will say this too, and it's funny. You said pay and Montreal. I think Tom Bogert put it out there on Blue Sky or Twitter or one of them that Montreal haven't spent a real dollar. So they've spent TAM or they've gotten players on loan or inside of Major League Soccer or whatever on designated players only. They haven't spent a real dollar on a DP since Ignacio Piatti. Piatti played when the club was called Montreal Impact. I think
that's all you need to know.
I think Piatti is a fucking legend. One of the best players we've seen play in Major League Soccer. I loved watching him play for Montreal. But you haven't spent a real dollar since
they had Georgie on their team, or does that not count?
He came over inside the league.
Oh, I see okay.
Yeah. He came from the Fire, and like I'm saying, like they spent TAM money, which is free money given to them every single year, or they got players on like Didier Drogba came over on a free. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not
Yeah.
even like they got an opportunity to sign a legend for free. Great, cool. You know, Ivan Jaime, their only DP on their roster right now. He's on loan from wherever the fuck he's on loan from. Doesn't matter. No. So whatever. That is just more of an issue
It's
with
just
Montreal.
disappointing. Like I don't know any other word to describe this.
Yes, for sure.
And I do, like you said, feel very bad for their fans.
That's it. Hey, look, we've had the Ball is Round Montreal podcast on our podcast to talk 2-3 times over the course of the last few years. Dedicated fans who love their city, they love soccer, they love CF Montreal, and I feel bad for those guys and everyone else who roots for this club. But let's keep it moving to maybe more of a surprising head coaching parting of ways. But manager Javier Mascherano and Inter Miami have split up, parted ways. Mascherano decided to leave. Whatever we want to kind of go with in this sense. I have my own conspiracy theories.
Has anything official come out on whose side?
So the only real official thing was Javier Mascherano did make a statement saying, I want to let everyone know that for personal reasons, I've decided to end my tenure as head coach of Inter Miami. I know Tom Bogert has some pieces out there of just growing
Yeah, like something
disconnect
happened after
between the Red Bull game, the 2-2 Red Bull game. A growing disconnect between Mascherano, front office, Messi's camp, all of that. But just in terms of cleaning up the news here a little bit, Angel Guillermo Hoyos, who will take over as interim manager of Inter Miami. In the meantime, Hoyos served as kind of leading the pathway for development structure and youth development and sporting director up until this point. And then Alberto Marrero will take over as sporting director of Inter Miami in the meantime. Just for a little bit of a background on Hoyos, he has previously been a manager in his career before. He's managed in Greece, Cyprus, Bolivia, Colombia, Argentina, a little bit in the second version of the NASL here in the U.S., Chile, Mexico, and he had a short stint as Bolivia's national team manager. Javier Mascherano will leave Inter Miami with a total of 67 games in charge, 38 wins, 15 draws, 14 losses, and obviously an MLS Cup champion with Inter Miami last season. And then the last piece of news I wanted to throw in there, because I just found this is interesting. Since Lionel Messi has arrived into Miami in the summer of 2023, he has had, or currently has, 3 total managers: Tata Martino, Javier Mascherano, and now Guillermo Hoyos, and 3 sporting directors: Chris Henderson, Guillermo Hoyos, and Alberto Marrero currently. So a lot of turnover since Leo has joined the South Beach Club since in the summer of 2023. I don't know. What are your thoughts here on Mascherano, what Miami's doing, whatever it may be?
I mean, I think, like, I personally really want to know the actual truth behind all of this, but it's definitely a big deal. It's no secret that they haven't been up to their expectation to start the season. I also think, like, if I'm Montreal, if I'm Miami, like, I don't think I would be panicking this early in the season, sitting in third, unless like obviously the expectations are really high. I think losing in the Champions Cup was probably a pretty massive loss, like especially to Nashville.
For their expectations.
Yeah, so I think like that is like an immediate like, oh, we got to look at something maybe. But with the signings they made who have underperformed overall, like I was actually looking, because for last week, if I was kind of preparing and I was like looking at the average ratings and stuff for Drake Callender versus names, man.
Dane St. Clair.
Dane St. Clair. Thank you. And it's interesting to look at. That's all I'll say. Pretty interesting. Drake Callender's out there having a pretty good season so far.
Yeah. It's I will say, based off for the Inter Miami perspective, based off of how they say they want to operate as a club, and the expectations that they have and the expectations that they fully put out there. Like, right, they want to be playing in Copa America. Gee, you and I are on absolute fire.
We're
Copa
doing something today.
Copa Libertadores. Like they're saying they want to open up the door into that. Like you're talking about being the best club in half the globe, right? When it's like you're not even the best club in your country. And I understand that I think from everything that I've been seeing, hearing, and whatnot, is that the club was shocked that Mascherano put in his he wants to leave the club kind of deal. But I wouldn't also be shocked if that's a little bit of a lie, or not even a lie, just like they're okay with him leaving because of the expectations that they have, and the expectations are probably going to hold players and coaches and everyone too. So that makes sense, even though I don't necessarily fully agree with letting Mascherano go. I actually think he's a pretty good manager, and if another MLS club wanted to hire him, go for it.
I think it's tough to be like if this was truly his decision, what choice do they have, right? Like,
yeah,
sure. If I'm Miami, I'm probably like, if from my perspective, I would say he was doing a fine job. I mean, this year's gotten off to a slow start, but I wouldn't say it's been anything horrible. They're still like.
They're still in a
they should still win multiple trophies, in my opinion. But
yes.
Like, if it was his decision, then I can't be like sitting here going Miami should have kept him, because like they might not have had that choice.
No, 100%. That's what I'm saying is like, well, clearly there's some issues somewhere, disconnected issues that led both now Tata Martino and Javier Mascherano.
I'd be curious how much Messi had interest in this too. I mean, Messi's part of why it was Mascherano to begin with.
Yeah, and Messi was part of the reason why Tata Martino got hired, and apparently now, you can't get a second full season out of a manager without the front office and Messi's camp and the hiring manager, the head coach, having an issue. Like, that's an issue. That's an issue that there's so much disconnect. And again, Miami's going to win trophies. They've already won 2 trophies in the Lionel Messi era, but obviously they want to win the big one. And I don't know if you're winning CONCACAF Champions Cup if this is the path.
There's like inner turmoil. Yeah,
exactly.
Especially with your manager and your players, your best players. So
it's going to be so much fun when Mauricio Pochettino gets hired as Inter Miami's manager post the World Cup. It's going to be so much fun to see that. All right, let's keep it moving, Jason. CONCACAF Champions Cup. Pretty good.
I was going to say, like, I pleasantly surprised, right?
Look, I'll take the results we got from these quarterfinals. So on the one side of the bracket, we had Nashville SC versus Club America. Leg 1 was in Nashville. It ended up being a 0-0 draw. Sam Surge kind of failed to convert some opportunities, but Rodolfo Cotto in net for America was fantastic. But Nashville held up defensively, right? So leg 2, you're in Mexico. You're concerned. You don't have. You didn't let up an away goal, but you don't have the lead in any type of I guess kind of aggregate. And there's no Sam Surge because he's out injured for the leg 2 game down in Mexico. But Hani Mukhtar turns back the clock, goes 2022 Hani. Brian Schwacke in net makes 8 saves down in the Azteca, and Nashville SC pick up a win. They become the first ever MLS club to win a game in official competition at the Azteca, and Nashville SC move on to the semifinals. I mean, Nashville, like, they're doing it, man.
If I'm a big club, man, write a blank check to BJ Callahan. He's 44 years old.
I can't wait for BJ Callahan to be manager of the USMNT.
I agree. I was going to say that, but I was going to do disclaimer. Sorry, Nashville fans, but it's going to be great. I mean, this is incredible. Like, I want that first leg was stressful, right? Because it was like, please score. Like, we need a goal, right? Sure, no away goals is big, but just like I was dying for one of those to break through. And like you said, Rodolfo Cota put up a great performance, which is sometimes that happens. And it was going to the Azteca. It was scary. I wasn't super excited about the second leg. I was nervous, but Nashville put it like, BJ Callahan, man. Like, obviously this team is good, but like they're still defensively sound. Like, that identity has been there for so long. And now they have an attack that's actually terrifying. And there's a reason why they're sitting atop the Eastern Conference, and there's a reason why they're winning these types of games. Like this is a team that isn't afraid of the moment. They're not afraid of any team. I mean, they just went and beat Miami. I don't think they're going to be too afraid of Club America, as much as those are different tasks. It's still the same. Like, they're the kind of team that I just have confidence in right now. And it's like going back to the Wilfried Nancy Columbus teams, where it's like, I believe they're going to not be afraid of any moment that they're in. And that when you get to that point, and with the talent that they have on their team, I mean, you have Hani Mukhtar, who was an MLS MVP caliber player for so long on teams where there was not much around him. And now there is. He's not asked to do MVP type stuff. He's still able to do that, though. And like, you put that all together, and they're looking terrifying.
Like, Hani's there. Sam Surridge has developed into what Sam Surridge is.
I wonder who's the only team to beat them this year.
Is it Chicago?
Yep.
Oh, got it. Okay. I really didn't know the answer to that question.
No, we scored. I'm pretty sure that was a game we scored in like the second minute, and then it was a 1-0 win.
I think that was it. Hezbeck and Tagsif I love them in central midfield. They just run around, and they also hit bangers. Woleji, the new center back that they signed, he's unbelievable. Like, you want to talk about a Walker Zimmerman replacement, like Walker Zimmerman replacement and upgrade. Brian Schwacke winning the starting goalkeeper job, and I want to see him in a USMNT uniform this summer if we could. And then obviously Christian Espinoza coming in as the top free agent, only just adding to this team. This team is talented. This team is more talented than some Liga MX teams. I will say it's true, and I'm very excited to see them move on in the semifinal, who they will face Tigres, because Tigres leg one down in Mexico won 2-0 over the Seattle Sounders. Sounders played a strong 45, but obviously down in Mexico you got to play a strong 90. And the second half in that game.
This is like one of the first times it was the second leg in the U.S.
Yeah,
right?
because it's all about the standings.
Okay.
It's about your performance in previous rounds and whatnot.
I was so confused why this second leg was in the U.S., but
yep. But, sure, Seattle gets the second leg in the U.S. You're down 2-0. You need to put on a performance, and they almost did it. They almost did it, which is the story of MLS clubs in CONCACAF Champions Cup, is the almost. But Seattle in leg two win 3-1. Seattle goes up early. Tigres grabs the second goal late in the first half. Sounders get 2 more goals in the second half, so it's tied 3-3 on aggregate, but they don't move on due to away goals, and Tigres are now facing Nashville in the semifinals. Do we want to give Seattle any love before we talk about Tigres Nashville?
I mean, yeah, I don't know if we have to do too much because they ultimately didn't move on, but like I respect the effort that they put in. Like, they came so close, and like you said, so close is often what we end up saying. And it's like, I mean, I guess I'm almost happy that they were coming back in the second leg being home, but like, it's sort of what happens when in reverse, and we always lose those, right? So it was just not close enough, right? And I don't know. Like, sure, it would have been awesome, but I was proud of the fact that they didn't kind of back down. They were up for that game, and they nearly pulled it off.
No, I agree with you. And look, it's a Seattle team that was playing Alex Roldan at center back because of the amount of injuries they've had at that position, right? Guymar out, Kim Keehee out, Stuart Hawkins and Ryan Saylor out. Pedro de la Vega hasn't played for this team. So maybe in another universe, if this team's healthy, things look different. But it is unfortunately they got caught up in the typical what we see from MLS clubs in CONCACAF Champions Cup League when they face Liga MX opponents. But we have Nashville FC versus Tigres in one half of this bracket semifinal. Leg one is going to be in Nashville. Leg two will be at Tigres, again, due to the standings, which just goes based off of performance in this competition so far. Nashville, they've gotten past Atletico Ottawa, Inter Miami, and Club America. To get here, Tigres has gotten past Forge FC, FC Cincinnati, and the Seattle Sounders. Nashville does do pretty well against Liga MX opponents. They've only played in CONCACAF CONCACAF Champions Cup specifically, they've only played Club America. But, if you factor in the League's Cup performances, they do pretty well. These two teams have never faced off. So I'm excited to see what this Nashville team against a historic giant of Tigres is gonna come down to.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like when you look at who they've played so far, I would say Nashville have probably had a bit of a harder climb here.
Yeah, I agree.
And performed better. Like the 8 goals against for Tigres when you're Forge FC and FC Cincinnati are 2 of your 3 opponents. I mean, is anyone looking at what FC Cincinnati's doing right now? That's not great. So, like, that kind of is a interesting little wrinkle here because I think Nashville is, like I just was saying, it has a scary attack. Sam Surridge, when he gets going, impossible to stop. I'm very curious to see how this plays out. I actually feel pretty good about the matchup, though.
Tigres have not looked good, whether you're talking their CONCACAF Champions Cup performances or you're talking about right now in league play. Like they sit like 6th or 7th in
they
Liga
sit
MX.
6th right now because I was just looking. I was like, where do they sit compared to Club America? And it's roughly the same points, 20 to 19 points. So it's right around that same spot.
I don't want to, I'm going to force you to make a prediction, and I'm going to make my prediction right now. I think Nashville move on. You obviously have to go second leg down in Mexico and down
They
at
just
Tigres.
did that and won at probably the most difficult stadium to win at in the world. Well,
yeah, but now
people are going to yell at me for that, but it's up
true.
there. The Azteca's up there.
But you now have to do it again. And there's a chance you have to do it a third time,
Right.
like there's.
But again, like I was just saying, this isn't a team that's like, we got to do this. Like they're going down there. I think hopefully they have a better first leg. They have a better first leg. Then we're looking at a true potential here. Like I'll just say I'm going with Nashville as well. Am I going to drink the Kool-Aid for the 50th time? Yeah, probably.
I say it all the time. I say it every year. I get pissed off every year, and
I got mad this year. I said I'm done, and then they pulled me right back in, man.
All right, let's keep it moving since we're working on a time.
This one should be a little quicker.
LAFC on the other side of the
not,
bracket. LAFC versus Cruz Azul, leg 1 in Los Angeles. LAFC go up 3-0 against Cruz Azul. Don't allow away goal. You're up 3-0 big. Matthew Chouanier with 2 assists. David Martinez just bullying his way to a brace. It was an absolute murder.
A beautiful David Martinez, by the way. Like,
he's going to get sold for $20 million.
We've said it a lot of times, but insane season he's already gone off to.
Yeah, he's kicking off pretty well, and they're going to need him for the.
And this Youngman Son guy, who is he?
South Korea might want to get him capped pretty soon. Leg 2 in Mexico, 1-1 draw. LAFC did allow a first half PK to Cruz Azul, who put it away, so they were up 1-0 for a majority of this game. Then obviously, as Cruz Azul had to push late, they get a red card. The game slips away from them. They allow a counterattack to LAFC. It gets pulled down in the box. PK, Denny Bouanga steps up, and LAFC handle a 4-1 aggregate win over the reigning champions Cruz Azul. It is the largest ever aggregate win
team that's going crazy right now in Liga MX.
Yes, they're doing very well right now. Largest ever aggregate win for an MLS club over a Liga MX club in any type of competition, a 4-1 aggregate win. And LAFC move on to a semifinal. I mean, this was maybe the most done and dusted. We just wiped, we just kicked your ass.
This was the most I mean, I can't remember every time we've played a Mexican team, but this feels like one of the most dominant face-offs we've ever had.
Yeah, LAFC have left me feeling like, oh, you are the best team in Major League Soccer. Sorry, I know what we just said about Nashville, and it's all true, but LAFC, if they can handle a Liga,
I mean, those are the best 2 teams in MLS right now.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
I think Vancouver maybe has a claim to say something, but.
Probably Seattle probably give them a little bit of a shout, but yeah, I think it's LAFC, it's Nashville,
it's San Jose.
Yeah, it's Timo Werner, San Jose. Okay,
I mean, hey, look at them, man.
Toluca versus LA Galaxy was the other quarterfinal on the side of the bracket. Leg 1 was in Mexico. It was a 4-2 win for Toluca, which may sound sarcastic, but 2 away goals is huge, right? So there was a slim chance that if the Galaxy could win 2-0 at home, they move on. Galaxy gets shut out 3-0 at home in leg 2, and Paulinho does
3-1, right? Oh no, 3-0.
3-0. Paulinho does what Paulinho does. The Portuguese international had a second half brace, and Toluca, the back-to-back Liga MX champions, handle the LA Galaxy in a 7-2 aggregate, and they will move on to face LAFC in the
allowing
other
5
semifinal.
goals from one player in a back to that's insane.
Yep.
That's
Paulinho's very good. He's a very good player. So LAFC versus Toluca in the other semifinal. Leg 1 is going to be in Los Angeles. Leg 2 at Toluca. LAFC have gotten past Real España, Alajuelense, and Cruz Azul. Toluca have gotten past San Diego and LA Galaxy. They've only played 2 opponents because they had the first round bye. LAFC, they do have an all-time CONCACAF Champions Cup record versus Liga MX opponents of 4 wins, a draw, and 4 losses. Obviously, they've made a Champions Cup final before. This team is done well, just as much as they've had some heartbreak in this competition. But these 2 teams have never played off against each other. So you're going to have 2, one giant from the U.S., one giant from Mexico going up against each other in a semifinal. That's fun.
This is the heavy, these both legs are going to be awesome. Like these are both games, both matchups on either side. Like we got heavyweights in this Final Four.
You have arguably the 4 best teams in the region. Maybe not Tigres in terms of form wise, but like you have some historic teams, some of the most. But like
you could easily make the argument that Toluca is the best team in Mexico right now, and you can like we just were making the argument. Nashville and LAFC are probably the top 2 MLS teams, so at least minimum 3 or 4 of these teams. It's not like Tigres is some like joke either.
No,
like,
Tigres are a historic
awesome.
giant. Yeah. They've won this competition. They've literally have players on this roster who have won this competition, so they know how to, what they need to do. So yeah, I'm excited for these semifinals. Do you have a pick between LAFC and Toluca of who makes it through? This is the tough one.
I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna go with LAFC because I want to. Like,
I want to.
I'm sorry. I think this LAFC team genuinely is really good. Toluca's terrifying. I think I don't know. Because I want to. That's really my reason.
Fair. That's fine.
Do I truly believe, based on the history of MLS clubs versus Mexican clubs? No. But do I really, really want it? Yes.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say Toluca fucking beats LAFC.
Also, we never have an all MLS final. So the odds of this being an MLS final is pretty much 0.
I guess I'm playing odds. I'm playing, I don't want to be burned again. I'm playing just, numbers here. It's Toluca. They are the best team in the region.
Can we just please one of these teams win, please?
Yeah, just give me a chance. Give me a fighting chance here at having some hope to talk about an MLS team in the final. That's all I want. And I think we'll have it. I'll knock on wood, but I think we'll have it. Cool. All right, let's finish up this convo, and we're moving pretty quickly here, Jason. To U.S. Open Cup, the round of 32 kicked off. It was done, and we saw MLS teams enter the fray here.
A little sketchy first round for a lot of MLS teams.
A little bit, but ultimately, it's three cup sets in terms of this round.
I wouldn't say there were a ton of dominant performances.
No. You had
there were some for sure.
Orlando City won 1-0 over Naples FC, but it was a very controversial no goal for Naples. That definitely looked like a goal. New England got pushed to PKs with Rhode Island FC. Columbus won big over Richmond. I'm going to save the cup sets for last. NYCFC, they dominated Westchester. I know they allowed 2 goals, but we dominated. Red Bulls dominated Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Julian Hall had a brace. Atlanta dominated Chattanooga FC. Charlotte murdered Charlotte Independence 6-0 after an early red card from Charlotte Independence. You guys hung on for a 2-1 win over
I wouldn't say City. That was dominant.
It was not, but you guys hung on. St. Louis dominated FC Tulsa 4-0. Houston Dynamo defeated El Paso Locomotive 4-1. Colorado Rapids hung on to a 1-0 win over Union Omaha. Shout out Union Omaha for just pushing teams in this competition every year. And then Minnesota United had to go to PKs against the Sacramento Republic. Again, another team that pushes MLS clubs every year for a PK shutout win. And then San Jose Earthquakes shut out Phoenix Rising
Rodriguez,
2-0.
by the way.
Yeah, Thomas, first start for Minnesota United. Did we assume it was going to be against Sacramento Republic in the U.S. Open Cup? No, we did not. No,
we didn't.
But let's talk about the 3 cup sets really quick. The first one was Louisville City defeating Austin FC 2-1. Louisville hosted this game, and I mean, like, they continue to prove why they are the best club and best organization in the entirety of USL, because Louisville just – like, they just do it. Like, I don't know.
It's also like of the 3 cup sets we're going to talk about, definitely the most like difficult team to be playing.
Yes,
MLS team, sure. I mean. So
for sure.
Yeah, I think Louisville City forever now has just been one of those clubs that you're gonna want to know about them, right?
Cruise it every year at the USL level and in the Open Cup, and they're fun.
Like if promotion relegation was a thing, they would be in MLS.
And probably would have been for a few years and remained in MLS for a few years. USL Championship side Colorado Springs Switchbacks hosted and shut out Sporting Kansas City 3-0. Switchbacks went up 2-0 for a majority of the game. There was a late red card from SKC, and then Switchbacks added a third at that point. How do you get shut out to a second division team in this competition? Like SKC, they're really fighting Montreal for being the worst club in Major League Soccer. By like
this one is bad simply because of how bad, right? Like it's pretty rough. This is not a good look.
I don't care that you went on the road. Like, I don't care.
No, that's literally no excuse at all. You lost 3-0. You're not winning that at home either.
Put a goal across the line. That's all you got to do. Put a goal across the line. And then the most fun one to me is 2025 USL League One champions. One Knoxville defeated DC United in penalties to advance. It was their first ever game against an MLS opponent. They won it, and now this is their first time winning a game against an MLS opponent. So that's fun. Regulation ended 2-2 after One Knoxville came back from a 1-0 deficit. Then DC scored late to tie things up. In extra time, DC scored pretty early, but then Dennis Kriochikov scored his second goal of the game, completed his brace, and
come back twice.
The game went to PKs and One Knoxville, the third division tiered USL League One Knoxville, who ran everything last year.
Is that technically level. Second division considering aren't they now like championship is first division soccer?
No, championship is still always going to be second. This is a whole new league that's going to be the first. So One Knoxville is definitely third division still.
Good clarification.
And I think the furthest third division team gets like $20,000 or $10,000. So they got a payday from this one. So shout out One Knoxville in that regard too. I think New York City FC2 got it last year.
I'm excited for when we talk about this upcoming round because I actually think all 3 of these teams got relatively favorable matchups.
So let's talk about it. I have like 2 minutes before I have to go. So really quick, the round of 16th is going to be played on April 28th and April 29th. Jason, give me your favorite matchup or 2 if you want.
I mean, I think pretty easily for me, it's Louisville City versus the Dynamo. I just, again, go back to Louisville City and how much fun like them being good consistently is. But like if I had, Colorado Springs versus Colorado is epic, right?
That's fun.
So you can't pick wrong at this point of the tournament.
No, you pick 2, so I'm going to pick 2 really quick, and then we got to get out of here. Obviously, the Hudson River Derby, right. New York City FC, New York Red Bulls, that's fun. That's for me personally, but just in terms of rivalries and another competition, it's fun. And then you got to go with the third division team. We just said One Knoxville out of USL League One hosting the Columbus Crew. I'm pretty sure they're hosting the Columbus Crew. So, I mean, you have so many fun games. I honestly think half of these games are like really fun.
There's like a decent amount of like rivalry / like geometry. Why did I try geography?
There you go. Geometry and geography.
The Fire versus St. Louis, pretty good game. Atlanta versus Charlotte, pretty interesting. Obviously, your game. So
Yeah. All right. Well, Jason, I have to go. I have to
Yeah.
go handle work on this Friday. Funness, and I will thank you for doing this podcast with me. I'll thank everyone who's watched and viewed and everything for listening and checking us out. Hopefully, we're back next week and less stressed out, and we can be a little bit more fun
Dive
and less
into it, yeah.
less clinical into
Yeah.
our talks. But thank you, everyone, and we'll talk to you guys next week.